Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5.
We begin with breaking news as the Minnesota Department of Health is now confirming the first case of COVID-19 in Ramsey County. The case is an older resident who lives in Ramsey County who recently traveled on a cruise ship with a known coronavirus case. The patient developed symptoms on February 25th and went to the doctor yesterday. The Minnesota Department of Health is working to identify and contact all those who may have come in contact with the infected person.
We need to do our part by following the experts' guidance. This includes those 3 very important things you're hearing over and over again. Cover your cough with your sleeve, wash your hands promptly with warm soapy water for over 20 seconds, and of course, stay home and away from people if you are sick.
The patient is currently in isolation at home and is recovering. Tonight on Valley News Live 10 at 10, we find out how local events may be impacted.
I don't really know how drinking chemicals is not serious or how it couldn't harm you.
I called Poison Control. They advised me that I should drink plenty of water.
A milk recall is alarming people around the region. Cass Clay Fargo is recalling 1% low-fat gallon milk because sanitizer was inadvertently added during production and then distributed to stores. Now a state agency is investigating how that cleaning chemical ended up in the milk. Valley News Team's Joshua Pagero heard from 2 people who not only bought that 1% milk, but drank it too. And one of them had to go to the emergency room.
Tacey Donnelly says she bought milk Saturday and drank some before going to bed.
People thought I was just drinking bad milk, but I knew it was not right.
Donnelly says immediately her stomach became upset.
I couldn't sleep. My heart was racing, and I eventually fell asleep, and then I woke up and my throat and my esophagus were burning.
The next morning, she went to the hospital. Donnelly sent us this video pouring out what state regulators say was contaminated Cass Clay milk.
The consistency was kind of bubbly, I guess. But even after it sitting out for 2 days, it never changed, never separated, never spoiled. The smell was the same.
Cass Clay issued a recall Friday morning, 6 days after Donnelly drank from it, for 1% low-fat gallons with a used by March 19 timestamp and a time code between 1630 to 1730. It was contaminated at the Fargo plant and shipped around the state and northwest Minnesota. Bradley Mead purchased that milk.
Mistakes happen, but with food, it's a little concerning, yeah.
He says he was eating it with cereal when he noticed something was off.
It had sort of a more fruity citrus smell than it should have. I was eating a fruity cereal, so it wasn't apparent immediately, but then we smelled the gallon afterward.
Mead says he called Poison Control. Cass Clay tells us people should not have any health problems if they drank the milk.
Any other product run on any other day or any other Cass Clay product is completely fine. So it's a very small amount of product that potentially could be impacted.
The company is also telling customers to return it to the store that they bought it from for a full refund. In Fargo, Joshua Pagero, Valley News Live.
Coming up on Valley News Live at 6, the North Dakota Agriculture Department has launched an investigation into Cass Clay Fargo, and you'll learn more about that in a live report. We are working our way toward the weekend, excited for what's in store. But first, let's find out what's happening this evening. Our First Alert Storm Team has the answer. Hutch?
All right, Andrea, as we take a look at the Skycam shot, you see there very little in the way of cloud cover here in the valley, but we continue with some gusty wind. First and foremost, temperatures soaring to near 40 degrees in Gwinner. The rest of us well into the 30s as forecast, but those winds still pesky out there, making it feel a little cool. Make sure you take that jacket for your Friday evening plans. Although I don't anticipate anything in the way of precipitation tonight, and actually the breezy conditions last into and through the overnight, but those will help temperatures. Notice steady eddy in the low 30s here in Fargo. Grand Forks, likewise, steady temperatures will sneak into the upper 20s during the overnight hours, but it stays breezy all the way till daybreak. Your weekend outlook includes, well, plenty of smiles. Yes, we're talking 40s. I'll have details on how high we go. We have some changes as we close out the weekend as well. We'll go over all that in just a couple minutes.
All right, thanks, Hutch. We'll see you soon. Take a look at this week's Valley's Most Wanted. Police say 44-year-old Angela Randall is wanted for a probation violation on a charge of unauthorized use of personal ID. You can call your local law enforcement if you have any information on her. A North Dakota man accused of stealing ammunition from a sporting goods store is now being indicted. The United States District Court unsealed an indictment revealing that a federal grand jury indicted Noah Abraham on a charge of possession of ammunition by a convicted felon. The grand jury alleges that on January 21st, Abraham stole 9mm ammo from Shields Sporting Goods store in Minot. He is a convicted felon for terrorizing and is prohibited from owning guns or ammunition. School officials in West Fargo say there is no real danger to students, staff, or the campus after a threat of violence at Cheney Middle School. A note was discovered yesterday morning in a bathroom. In a statement, officials say it's their priority to ensure safety and the validity of the threat. The school wants to assure the public that students and staff are safe and there was no credibility to the threat. They also want to make sure rumors are not started that incite fear through the community. If you have any concerns, you're urged to call the West Fargo School District. President Trump signed a bill today to release emergency funding to fight coronavirus. This amid questions about why the administration fell far short, of its promise of 1 million tests by the end of this week. Alice Barr is in Washington with the latest.
President Trump visiting the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta today as coronavirus cases top 200 from coast to coast in the U.S., reportedly hitting 100,000 worldwide. Earlier today, the president signed an $8 billion emergency spending bill for vaccines, testing, treatment, and preparations to contain the growing threat.
Came out of nowhere, and we're taking care of it.
The Trump administration trying to calm fears amid growing scrutiny over why it won't meet its goal to be ready to test 1 million people by the end of this week. Top health official Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Well, there were certainly some missteps in the beginning regarding getting tests out.
Dr. Fauci says the number of available tests is now on track to hit 1 million in the next couple of weeks.
I cannot promise it, but that's what the goal is.
Off the coast of San Francisco, test kits airdropped onto a quarantined cruise ship linked to 4 previous coronavirus cases. School districts from Plymouth, Massachusetts to Seattle, Washington, forced to shut their doors with little to no notice to worried parents.
Scary. And they just called me, come pick up your child now.
And stocks tanking again to close out a turbulent week, ending with one positive sign, a much stronger than expected jobs report for February, not yet showing the effects of coronavirus on the workplace.
Economists say hiring may slow down in the coming months as businesses restrict travel, manufacturing shuts down in China, affecting supplies, and many Americans delay vacations. After our story aired earlier this week, Minnesota State University Moorhead is changing course and offering students studying abroad refunds for canceling their trips. A student told Valley News Live that MSUM was not going to offer full refunds after the university canceled a trip to Costa Rica due to the spread of the coronavirus. In an email sent to students today, MSUM Vice President of Finance and Administration says students will be refunded money that was prepaid for the canceled trip. The Vatican confirmed the first case of the new coronavirus today and closed some offices as a precaution while Pope Francis continues recovering from a cold. One Vatican official was put into a protective quarantine after a priest from France's Catholic Church in Rome tested positive for the virus. The official isn't showing symptoms of COVID-19 but lives in the same church as the infected priest. Pope Francis came down with a cold over a week ago. Bernie Sanders says he intends to draw a contrast with Joe Biden as the two men duel for the Democratic presidential nomination. Senator Sanders met with reporters to again target Biden's Senate votes on issues ranging from NAFTA to votes on LGBTQ issues. Sanders is seeking to be the first Jewish president who also expressed his disgust after a man unfurled a flag with a swastika during his rally.
That it is horrific. It is beyond disgusting to see that in the United States of America, there are people who would show the emblem of Hitler and Nazism. And I was shocked to learn about that later.
That man was quickly escorted from the building by police, who Sanders says he's thankful for their quick action.